I told my son, I told all my hitters, I said, you absolutely dominate the inside pitch. When you can dominate the inside pitch, nothing else will give you problems. This is the only one that will rush you. The only reason you pull off the slider and the breaking ball is because of the fear of this one. If there was no such thing, if that was a ball, that little quadrant up there was a ball, you'd never pull off the slider. You'd be leaning all over that. But just a little bit of thought, somebody busting you in, now you're pulling off that slider, that changeup, low and away. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, that's my thought on that. Bat speed. That's where I go with bat speed. Okay. The other thing is bat accuracy. So here's the thing about bat accuracy, and we've done this so poorly for so long, and it's why we get beaten in international play by Japanese so often, is they're more accurate with bats. And they're more accurate pitching too. They don't have the talent we have, but they tend to win close games if we get in it with them. And they tend to have enough pitching in international play to keep us in close games. They tend to beat us. Okay? Because they put the ball in play. Bat accuracy. The Japanese throw BP. I went over there for a couple of weeks, a couple of years ago, and this was one of their industrial league teams, like a minor league team. They have 3 turtles. I've seen 2 turtles. They have 3 turtles set up. And the acupuncture guy was throwing BP, the trainer was throwing BP, the strength, I mean, everybody who could threw BP, and they didn't throw like we throw. They were pumping it close to about 80 miles an hour. And there were 15 tees set up. No, not one guy wasn't swinging a bat during batting practice. And it was, I was just sitting back going, and the guy said to me, a guy named Ted, a Japanese guy named Ted, but he was the coach. And he said, Dante, he says, I don't like to bring Americans over. We don't like them to come over here to teach them because they're so good. If we taught them to work like we do, they'd crush us. You know, I said, you know, you're right. We don't work like this. But, you know, they do, and they do this in international play more than not. So, having said that, we're the only sport, think about it, we're the only sport that doesn't actually practice like we play. You know, golf's easy, man. You throw the ball on the grass, you're in games, you're in tournament situations. Other than there's no pressure because it's not a big shot. Physically, that's the same thing you're going to do in the tournament. Well, in tennis, you get 2 people on a tennis court, start hitting the ball. You play point just like you would in baseball. How can you get a guy to practice with you, throwing you 98? You know, I'm talking at the big league level, but for you guys, 84, 85. I mean, you can't get people to practice. You don't have enough arms to practice like that, so you don't. And at the big league level, it's bad at this too. Another thing Judge said this year. Why was he so good? Did you read the article? If you don't, look for it. He said, I started setting the machine up. If we face a sinker, I started setting the machine up, the nastiest sinker I could throw. And I freaking dominated. When I got in the game, those guys didn't have near the sinker I had in the cage. Now, a lot of people don't like doing that because it will beat you up, okay? I always tell people, would you rather face, everybody says, oh, I'd rather hit fastball because you're taught that way. But reality, and you hitters out there, listen to this. If I said, listen, I set this machine up at 98 or this one up at a breaking ball at 85. You'd be running to that breaking ball machine. You don't want no part of that 98. Nobody does. But in the game, you think you want the 98. You know what I'm saying? So that's just something we don't practice at a level that makes us better. We practice, you know what the average, because we velo every BP pitch system. I do the hardest of anybody who can. Still an old man. I do 54 miles an hour routine. Straight gas for BP, because it's about 48 miles an hour BP. That's what it is. Every day, that's how everybody compares with all big leaguers. And they do lip ties. That really stretches. You know? it's like lifting weights, but we're gonna power lift with lightweight. Don't work that way. You gotta stretch yourself out. It's like race car drivers, say NASCAR drivers, they'll go 200 miles in a race, but they don't practice by driving down to get, pick up the milk. That's not how they practice. They practice at 200 miles an hour. You got to practice like you play more often. That's difficult. That's a trick, but that is a big one. Because on bat accuracy, what's happening is, think of, if I were to tell you, who wants to take a guess at how many fastballs we swing over at the big league level versus under? Don't have to take a guess, I'll tell you. It'd be real tough to find a guy swing over a big league fastball. Almost never. 99.9% of the time you swing under a big league fastball. Why is that? Guys late? They're not late. They're off path. They're not on plane with the ball. They're underneath. One, they're trying to launch angle and lift. Two, they practice with a loop in every day. That 48 comes in like this. Even when they set that machine up, it comes in at 60. It's still coming down. You're practicing, oh man, I got it, I'm feeling good today, until 98 comes down, and then it just gets blown right over your bat, and you're thinking you're late. You're not late. Tell me the next time you see a big league hitter swing after the ball hits a mitt. You're never going to see it. He looks like he's on it. It jumps over his bat. That's because he doesn't practice at a high level. Same thing with a breaking ball. We don't see enough breaking balls. So how can we have an accurate bat if we're not sure what this ball's going to do? The judge said, he says, if the guy's got a nasty breaking ball, Trout's a good one too. Trout says, I usually do some things and then I try to set the machine up to the breaking ball I'm facing that day. Man, yeah, breaking ball. That's a big one because nobody hits a breaking ball real well at the big league level because everybody's looking for the fastball. So you want to be more bat accurate, you got to understand where your barrel is. If you just face 48 miles an hour, you can flip toss, it ain't going to work. And if you never face breaking balls, it's never going to work. You're never going to realize where your bat is. So bat accuracy comes from working at the level you're going to play. In high school, you can actually get the machine to 80, 84 miles an hour. If you're facing a guy that's going 90, well, that's the day you turn the machine up to batting practice. You know? Now, you're going to beat, I say, like, when I used to coach a Little League team, I used to say, you know, there are 12 kids on the team. I got 4 kids I'm babysitting. I got 4 kids that are really good. And if I could just keep those 4 kids in the middle, on the positive side, I probably got a good little team. Well, high school's a little bit like you got 4 kids that aren't going to handle the velo when we put her on today. I mean, they're going to be pissed. You know, then you got 4 kids that might be challenged by it, you know. But you got to do it because that's when we did it. We went to the Little League World Series in '95. I went with Mike Stanley, another big league coach, and I set our machine on 80 every day. 12-year-old, 80 every day. Boom. He said, Dante, you're not. We'll never face it. He said, all we're seeing, man, is these tournaments are breaking ball kids. And I said, Mike, you're right. And we look goofy against all the curveballs. But we're not going to lose to them. We're too good. I knew we had a good team. We went to the Little World Series, lost to California. I said, Mike, the day we get beat, if we get beat, we're going to get beat by 80. I'm telling you, there's a 12-year-old out there don't know about 80. Sure enough, man, we get to the Little League World Series, we run. One of the games was great because it was a district tournament, dude flipping curveballs. My starting pitcher is struck out 3 times. He's crying. He can't control himself on the mound. I had to yank him out. Had to put in a little shortstop. Max Moroff played in the big leagues, but he wasn't a good pitcher. He was flipping curveballs. Next thing I know, it's 14-11, but we won. Because I knew they couldn't dominate us with that arm. But I knew if we lost, we'd get beat by a big arm. Sure enough, there we are. ESPN, kid named Kalen Penetall. The game before us, he struck out 18 out of 18. Oh boy. So we're going into him, and there's an interview. My kid's got the mound. He's got the mound. They give an interview. My kid, they ask him a question. Yeah, man, I'm just excited. He don't sound like a little kid. They ask him a question. He said, well, the girl's been chasing me back to the dorm. You know, he had shaven. I was like, we got our hands. And he beat us, but we knocked him around because we were ready for him. He didn't. He struck out 9, didn't get 10. We put 3 or 4 on him, had him tearing up on the mound, man. He was looking at Dad, and we had him. But anyway, that was a beautiful thing. So bat accuracy, understanding grace. You know, you got to spend time at 3/4. You got to spend time feeling it out. So I'm not saying flip toss tee work is not T-work, I always felt was good for mechanics and the mental game. You could hit any pitch you wanted to in any location off the tee in your mind. Slider in the back, bam! And that's the swing you would do it with. You can't get a guy to throw you so many sliders in a row in any other drill. So in your mind, if you know how to work your mind, T-works is good. Flip toss, I always felt, was for timing. There's always a give. I always wanted my guys to give a big flip toss, and I didn't want the ball to go whoosh. I tried to run it up. And they had the time, so that was good. And then regular BP, even though it's 48 miles an hour, I thought was zero in time with this. I wanted to take a great BP, I wanted to work the whole field, so I felt good. But then I had to go in and hit off the cage, off the machine. To me, that's the big one. All right, last one. I'm sorry, I'm going too long. Good. Mind management is the one that I left out. Mind management. You have to. This is a tough one because the third thing, a lot of people will tell you, well, he's fearless or he's confident. You know, first of all, fearless. I played for a lot of years. I dealt with fear every night. Guy rush a fastball up in on me. Oh, shoot, I can't get that. I got to get that. I mean, he beat me with that. That's fear, man. Managing that fear is a different thing, but that is fear. The guy pulls, he just sped you up that fastball in, and now you pull off the breaking ball. Oh no, man, he got that too. Now I got to sit back. Now you're in between, and it's because of fear. Instead of just committing and having some courage, stick with a game plan, you got yourself in between, like where every bad hitter goes, or every hitter that's off goes. He goes in between. That's where they all go, right? That's what mind management is what keeps minor leaguers in the minor leagues and big leaguers in the big leagues. It's the difference maker because they all got that. They all got a handout. They all have the tools, but that's what keeps them out of the big leagues. So intangibles like that, like fearlessness, like confidence. Confidence? Come on. Really? The kid's got confidence. You really look, oh, he's got a lot of confidence. He does right now. He's facing somebody. He's got to throw somebody in there to blow him away 3 times to see how confident he looks. All right, confidence comes and goes. Right? And work ethic. Yes, absolutely, 100% work ethic. That's a big one. You got it. But there are intangibles. I roll them all up into mind management. How do you manage your mind well? There are ways. Preparation is usually the best way to manage your mind. Being ready for something before it gets there is the easiest way to have mind management. You know, if you weren't ready to get blown away by a fastball, then you just got sped up. You got to know every night in the big leagues, this guy has potential to blow me away. What am I going to do when that happens? Okay, most of us get quicker and try to get the head out. If I got blown away, I probably swung under. Maybe I should just get on top a little bit. I'm okay. Just get on top. I swung under. You know, that's managing your mind. I've been on the other side a lot of times too. I've got sped up and got fooled by the breaker. Fear will beat you up in that game. Lack of confidence is a form of fear. And Ted Williams says that in the book. He says most mistakes come from just fear. Ted Williams, great hitter. Kobe Bryant said it in his book. It wasn't that I didn't fear. I had fear all the time, but I embraced it and just dealt with it. So managing your mind is a big one. Categorize pitcher. Categorize pitchers is a great way to prepare and have mind management when it happens. If I'm facing a sinker ball in a day like this, I go in and I'm going to be inside out today off this guy's fastball. Okay, if I'm facing a big 4-seam high fastball, I've got to flatten the bat out today on this guy's fastball. Okay, if this guy is constantly pitching backwards, break ball in, you know, then you know what? I can hunt a break ball. That's the easiest thing to do if I'm looking for it. Okay. So mind management, in my opinion, is the end all that makes you a great shooter. And just how you deal with things up here. How do you get that? Ooh boy, there's some things. Preparation is usually good. It's a slow process usually. It's what takes guys forever to get through the minor league. It's a trial and error thing. It's when you do you can literally sit here and do flip toss hard and soft and mess a kid all up. I mean, beat him to death on doing that. but you can talk him through it too. All right, hey, You know, commit to the fastball. Who cares if you get beat by the changeup? Who cares? I'm not worried about it. I got 2 strikes where I don't care if you get fooled. You don't want to take a B swing in an A count. You know what I'm saying? Everybody works so hard to have that swing that can adjust to the breaking ball. Why? Why? Look for one pitch and get down on that one pitch. If you look bad, you look bad. But if you think you're going to handle it, especially in the big league, you think you're going to handle 98 and then handle somebody's slider at the same time, you are kidding yourself. You handle one and hopefully you guess right. And then when you get to 2 strikes, you just have a hell of a 2-strike approach. What is a hell of a 2-strike approach?
I think it's looking away and adjusting to the end.
Absolutely.
It's the opposite.
It starts with the opposite field.
Don't.
Starts with the opposite field.
Yeah.
Why? Because if we are playing deep in the zone,
Let's see, spin.
yeah, we got time. Listen, if I'm playing out here, I'm out of the zone, bro. I'm out of there. With 2 strikes. If I'm playing out here with 2 strikes, still looking for the exit speed. This is why exit speed is so overrated. Why would you, if you're looking for an exit speed with 2 strikes, you're a fool. You're playing out here, it throws you a good change, you're out of zone, you got no chance. You're playing back here, it throws you a change up, breaking ball, you got all that room to flip it in, game winner. You know what I'm saying?
If a high school kid can stick an inside fastball, we tip our cap, and it's going to be a long night.
And that's why what did I say? You own that inside fastball. If you own the inside fastball, baby, you have figured out. Ted Williams talked about the inside fastball. He said, Dante, I'm sitting right there, man. I read the book, so I knew where he was going. And I'm sitting there I got Ted Williams here. I got Bobby Dorr here. And they're fighting about the upswing, downswing, which is legendary. And he hits me and he goes, what do you think it is? Now, do you think it's an upswing or a downswing? And Bobby Dorr was a downswinger. He's a Hall of Famer. I'm like, I don't want to piss him off. And Ted Williams is still 6'6" at 80 years old, and he's an upswinger. I said, Ted, I think you swing down and then you finish up. He said, you mean you swing down and then you swing up? I was like, Ted, I ain't getting into this with you. He said, you've been in this argument too many times. But he looked at me and said, what's the easiest pitch to hit the other way? I knew the book. I said the inside fastball. Why? Well, it's easy to see. It's right there. You don't have to, it's not a big mechanic move. It's real short. You jam it the other way. You've got to knock.